Good day, students. I'm Pricela Felisarta, and I'll be your guide today as we explore one of the most important tools in tailoring, which is sewing needles. These small tools can make a big difference in your sewing success. Okay, so before we proceed to our discussion, let's have first our motivational activity. Have you ever had trouble sewing? Your thread keeps breaking, or the needle just won't pass through? Meet Anna, a beginner. She's frustrated because she's using the wrong needle. Today, let's make sure that it doesn't happen to you. So now let's have our learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, 90% of the students will be able to identify and describe at least 10 different types of sewing needles and their specific uses. Second, correctly select and handle the appropriate sewing needle for a given fabric type. Third, express appreciation for the role of different sewing tools in tailoring by participating in discussion and sharing one insight about their usefulness. So now let's begin our discussion. What is a sewing needle? Sewing needles have come a long way from sharp bones and wood to today's high carbon steel needles. They help people create, repair, and decorate clothing for centuries. A needle has three basic parts: the eye, where the thread goes, the shaft, which affects the needle's length and thickness, and the point, which penetrates the fabric. So now let's proceed to the types of needles. First, we have sharp needles. It is used for general hand sewing, built with a sharp point, a round eye, and are of medium length. Those with a double eyes are able to carry 2 strands of thread while minimizing fabric friction. Second, we have embroidery needles, or also known as scroll needles. It is identical to sharps, but have a longer eye to enable easier threading of multiple embroidery threads and thicker yarn. Third, we have quilting or between needles. These needles are shorter than sharps, with a small rounded eye, and are used for making fine stitches on heavy fabrics such as in tailoring, quilt making, and other detailed handwork. Fourth types is beading needles. These needles are very fine with a narrow eye to enable them to fit through the center of beads and sequins, along with a long shaft to thread and hold number of beads at a time. Fifth is leather needles, or also known as glovers and as wedge needles. These have a triangular point designed to pierce leather without tearing it, often used on leather-like materials such as vinyl and batik. Next is we have milliner's needles, a class of needles generally longer than sharps, useful for pasting and pleating, normally used in millinery work. 7. We have genile needles. These are similar to tapestry needles, but with large, long eyes and a very sharp point to penetrate closely woven fabrics useful for ribbon embroidery. Next is tapestry needles. The large eye on these needles lets them to carry a heavier weight yarn than other needles, and their blunt tip usually bent at a slight angle from the rest of the needle. Next is the Beading needle, or also called ballpoints. This is a long, thick needle with a ballpoint end and a large elongated eye. They can be flat or round and are generally used for threading elastics, ribbon, or tape through casings and lace openings. Last but not the least is the upholstery needle. These needles are heavy, long needles that may be straight or curved and are used for sewing heavy fabrics, upholstery work, tufting, and for tying quilts. So those are the 10 types of needles. So now let's proceed to the needle care tips. First, we have store needles in a case. Second, replace dull or bent needles. Third, use a magnet to collect lost needles. Caring for your needles ensures they last longer and work properly. Always store them in a safe case. Replace dull or bent ones and never sew with rusty needles. A small magnet can help pick up needles from the floor. So in summary, using the right needle helps you sew faster, cleaner, and with fewer mistakes. Always match your needle to your fabric and purpose. So now, it's time for a quick review. I'll read 5 questions and you will need to identify which type of needle is being described. Ready? Let's begin. So number 1, this needle has a triangular point, ideal for piercing, leather or vinyl. Second, it has a large eye and is used for embroidery work. Third, a long, thin needle used for threading tiny beads. Fourth, a blunt tip needle with a large eye, often used with yarn. Fifth, the short, sturdy needle is used for quilting through thick layers. That's it, class. Great job on completing the lesson. I hope you enjoyed learning about the different types of sewing needles and how each one plays a role in your sewing projects. Keep practicing and don't forget, using the right needle makes sewing easier and more fun. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in our next lesson. Goodbye for now.